Well, and thanks so much, Vikram, for being here. I'm the Deputy Director of Leadership Giving. I've been here at Baruch a little bit, and we're just so fortunate to have you here to inspire everybody's entrepreneurial, creative juices and to motivate you all and to build on those skills that you already have to get out there and build your businesses or whatever it is that you'd like to do. So just wanted to read a little bit about your bio. I realize that this is a bit of a snapshot of everything you do because you do so much. But Vikram has over a decade of experience in the startup space, specializing in taking concepts to market. He has launched several successful products and driven strong user acquisition for multiple tech startups in the consumer, retail, mobile, food tech, and fintech space. His startup, Gift Genie, if you don't have a t-shirt with your company name on it, you're not doing entrepreneurship right. A one-stop shop app aggregating wish list shopping carts and deals from online retailers. It's being featured this fall on national television in a new startup reality TV series. Check it out. We'll have to send everybody the link. Vikram is also an instructor and mentor with 2020 Startups, a New York-based accelerator program. Prior to Gift Genie, he co-founded Round Assist, a startup in the cloud computing and professional IT service space. He has also spearheaded marketing sales launches for several startups, Mobile, Miser, is that right? Freedom One Mobile, Munch Ninja, Infuse Mobile, Impulsivity, and Alphanet. So without further ado, Vikram, thank you so much, and everybody enjoy.
Oh wow, so don't worry, it sounds a lot more impressive than it is as always. I am basically, as an entrepreneur, you are basically a collection of lots of mistakes. So I apologize for my calligraphy. God bless laptops. Can anyone read my chicken scratch, what that says? So why do startups fail? So I always like starting with this. Any of you, and if it's a smaller class, can any of you tell me why startups fail? There's two major reasons. It's only two reasons.
Experience, maybe?
Nope.
Product is bad?
Nope.
Lack of market attractiveness?
Nope. What you guys are all telling me, I mean, they're not saying they're not valid points, they're details. But there's two overlying reasons why. Anyone else?
I'm gonna just throw out there, not enough time to dedicate to it.
Sort of, okay. One reason why they fail, entrepreneurs give up. So lack of money, lack of time, marketing. Listen, you're building something from scratch. This is not an iPhone. This is an iPhone before the iPhone. This is Facebook before Facebook. There's going to be pitfalls. So what happens is you'll reach multiple barriers, and at that point most entrepreneurs will be like, it's too much. Got rent, got mortgage, or I just want a job again. I need income. They quit. That's why most startups fail. And if you look at history, if you look at some of the successful ones, perfect example, he's not a person to be quoting right now, but Travis Kalanick from Uber. I'm assuming you guys have all heard of him. His first startup was something similar to Napster, peer-to-peer. I think he got shut down. Second startup, almost again another peer-to-peer startup, struggled, and it's in his bio. He said he moved in with his parents for 3 years because he had no income. His CTO moved to Thailand to save on rent and left him. He was almost going to go to jail because he owed the IRS a lot of money. In the US, that's a white-collar crime. And he made a joke, I could never go on dates because I live with my parents. And just when he was on the verge of bankruptcy, Akamai acquired his company for $19 million. And then 9 months later, he became, I think, the third or fourth co-founder with Uber. 2 years later, the rest is history. So imagine in his first 5 years of his entrepreneurial journey, he had given up. That's the single most reason why startups fail. The second big reason is, can you guys guess the second one now that I've given the first?
Low confidence?
Sort of. Basically, entrepreneurs don't listen. You stop listening. So the whole point about market research, the right product, listen, there's no such thing as a perfect product. Look at what Facebook is today and what it was 15 years ago. So what it is, there's something, I think it's the LinkedIn CTO calls it permanent beta. You never build a full product. You build something, get some market traction, and you build. So it's almost like marketing, product development. And the successful entrepreneurs listen to the list. You have to listen, whether it's your advisors, your mentors, the market, your investors. You have to listen. If you have tunnel vision and you can think and go all the way, and so back to Travis, he got unceremoniously booted out of his own company. Why? Because he stopped listening, believed his own hype, and that's what happens to the bullshit train. And you look at every, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can that kind of relate to Elon Musk in a way?
There you go. Yeah, there's thousands of examples. You look at all these guys, right? Because we call it the startup mountain. You're climbing it, and you got to keep climbing, right? You're not. What's the point if you made the 20% there? Well, how the hell would you drop down? You keep climbing, but once you reach the top of the mountain, you don't want to fall off. You want to gracefully climb down. And yes, this is where entrepreneurs, we get to the top, and we become our own echo chamber. Like as an example, I've been doing this for about 10 years. I would say I've had moderate success. I do it for two reasons. One, it saves me money. I'm based between Toronto and New York. So I spent my time about 60% in New York, 40% in Toronto. Our tech team's in Toronto, all the marketing I spearhead out of New York. I take a bus every 2 weeks. It's a 12-hour bus. One, it saves me money. It's a $50 bus over a $500 ticket. Number two, it keeps me humble why I'm doing this. In theory, I could probably afford the flight, at least on occasion. Taking that bus keeps me humble. Why am I doing this? We entrepreneurs, when we taste success, we forget it, and we kind of like. So yeah, just always keep them. If you guys are going down this path, just remember these two things: don't give up, listen. Okay, sorry, I have got a whole bunch of notes. Now the other thing, in terms of when you start a startup, I'm assuming most of you here are thinking of an idea, have an idea, or maybe even have launched a business or an idea. Is that a fair assumption? How many of you would say have already got a business or a startup? Don't be like, raise your hand, don't be shy. Okay, perfect. Is it operational as we right now?
I'm kind of like a partner.
Okay, that's fine.
Like, I usually just manage I manage the funds, and also I manage ideas for it. So I don't know if
that counts. Can you explain to me your business in one line?
What type of business it is?
What you do, whatever your startup business is. Can you explain?
Clothing.
Okay, perfect. So it's perfect. You answer the question. But before he's going on about I manage this fund, no, I have a clothing business. Most entrepreneurs, we make things complicated. We assume the person is as intelligent as us. Dumbest thing, what is Uber at the end of the day? Helps you book a cab instantly using your phone. What does Airbnb do? Helps you find a place, right? What does Amazon do? Help you, it's simple, Or someone's like, no, Uber is a shared platform that allows you blah, 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 blah. Look how many syllables you just added. Simple. If you can't explain your business in one line, you have a really hard time convincing investors, anyone. It's simplicity. Most entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs, we make our business more complicated than it needs to be. So write this guy, because my mother write down, but look up, I can't take credit for this. A gentleman by the name of Ryan Foland, R-Y-A-N, F-O-L-A-N-D. He's got a great metric. It's called a 3-1-3 method. Explain your business in 3 lines, 1 sentence, 3 words. So I'm quoting him, so I want to plug him, so check him out, because if you're thinking of starting your own business or startup, follow what he says, because simplicity. Ryan Foland. Okay. So really, Marlene and Lauren did a great job explaining my background. I always joke about this. The only thing that differentiates me from what you guys is, I've got 10 years of mistakes on me. So a entrepreneur has to make 100% worth of mistakes. So today, hopefully, you've learned from my mistakes, so that's 50% down. Now you're just gonna make 50% of your own mistakes. And I'm just gonna sit. So it's a quote I like. A wise man learns from his mistakes. A wiser man learns from his mistakes and the mistakes of the others. So that's why I go back to don't be an echo chamber as an entrepreneur. When you listen to people around you, more importantly, listen from their mistakes. So, now I've talked about, I want to go over some more points. What do you think are the key elements a entrepreneur startup needs to take their business to the next level?
Funding? Sorry.
That, yeah.
Hmm?
Like initial funding?
Nope. If you think you need funding to get to the next level, you're gonna be there's a bridge I wanna sell you. Reason why, and I'll send you the link to my TV show, not because I would toot my own horn, but in episode 2, there's a pitch where this guy had a great idea, judges were interested, and they said, and then they're like, okay, well, you achieved all these milestones, what happened then? And he's like, oh, well, I didn't have any money to execute. If you're asking an investor to give you money to execute, your job as an entrepreneur to figure it out whether you have the money or not. No one's giving you money for a school project. This is real money. They want you to figure that out. So growth hack, figure it out. Your job as an entrepreneur is to figure if you could, whether it's putting your own money in, finding loopholes. 9 out of 10 problems can be solved without money. But again, that's the point about why entrepreneurs give up, because they think, oh, they ran out of money. No, that's the test. You ran out of money. You have no way to. So, do you quit or do you keep going? So, use Gift Genie as an example. We ran out of money. We ran out of multiple times. I think right now I have a balance of 0. But I'll at least keep continuing till March. So how do we had a big problem. How do we market our app? Right? And what worked for us was influencer marketing. Because when you started running ad campaigns, I squandered thousands, and I'm the first to admit I know nothing about ad management. And everyone I brought in was a complete epic disaster, because the problem was anyone who was good couldn't afford their salary, and whoever I was getting didn't really have had a skill set, but they would ditch me in 2 months. Now where I had success, I hired a couple of guys out of college. Didn't have the right skill set, but they're willing to learn. You can have talent, but I can't teach you hard work. And you know what? That intern, who will probably make an employee next year, saved me $5,000. He changed up our algorithms on the Apple Store and pushed up our rankings, whereas I had 2 companies saying they'll do it for $5K. This kid did it for a reference letter. So I could have gone for the easy way out and paid these guys $5K, or I found someone who can do it, who's willing to just learn. Another way how we market with Gift Genie so we had a lot of success with influencers. And obviously you gotta pay influencers though, right? They all have different price points depending upon their audience. Now what we are really is a shopping content discovery app. So we need cool and relevant content. So same thing, I can design a really cool AI engine to keep curating content, or I can pay someone to curate content. What I did is I approached a whole bunch of bloggers and saying, you're creating all these blogs, you're recommending products, how do people buy them or keep track of them? I want to feature your blog on my app as content, and every day, every week, it can be a weekly, monthly blog. And in return, can you cross-promote us because we're a cross-channel? And they say yes. So now I have dozens of influencers promoting my app for free. So the point is, you're gonna have to learn to think out of the box. How do you do all these things? So it's never about the money. When someone gives you money, in like really serious money, like an institutional round of, let's say, 5, 10 million, your business is proven, where it's like Facebook or Google type growth, where you've got users and revenue. Until you show that milestone, you're not gonna get major money. You might get friends, family who might put some money in because they like you, but that's about it. If you want that kind of money, you have to prove your business. Think about it, put yourself, if I asked you guys for money, hey guys, invest in my business, will you? Just because you think it's a great idea? No, you wanna see some kind of traction, some kind of revenue or something, because you're not investing to lose money. This isn't charity. If you wanna waste money, you go build homes in Africa. So, one key thing, now the one thing, I talked about what you can control. One thing that an entrepreneur can control that impacts is, yes, luck and time. A lot of startups fail because they were great ideas, but they were too early. A lot of startups fail because they came too late. That's the one thing, unfortunately, you can't control. But I'm gonna list a few more things. These are things you can control. And this is where hard work comes in, because hard work and hustle. Hard work and hustle will see you through almost anything. Because even if you don't have the talent, if you keep plugging away, you'll eventually get there. Now the other one is, a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize this, is that when you're asking someone for money, how many of you, if you were to start your own business tomorrow, I'm assuming you all have ideas, how many of you would put your own money in? Okay, good. That's a critical element any investor looks at. Think about it. If I'm going to ask someone for, say, a check for $1,500K, it's a lot easier if I said I've put in $10K or $15K. It's not the money, it's they want to hear that you've put your life savings into this. My life savings could be $5,000, could be $50,000. It's irrelevant. You believe in this to put all your money in and you're full-time committed. So, funny story, it's a startup I knew. They were doing really well because they had users and they had revenue. So they have what you call product and market fit. Struggling to raise money. Any idea why?
Wait, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so startup I know, I'll even tell you what they do. They're basically Uber for physiotherapy. So basically you open up their app and a physiotherapist will come to your office home and treat whatever back problem you have. It's covered on your insurance and it's usually 10, 20, 15% cheaper, but it's the convenience of your own home. So these guys did, I think, about $30,000, $40,000 in revenue. And they've got about a dozen repeat customers. They make on average $1,000 a repeat customer. So pretty good model. Now they're looking to scale, they're trying to raise money. Couldn't raise money. Any idea why?
My assumption would be that because they need service providers, they haven't gone after that group properly.
No, they hadn't because two of the founders were physiotherapists themselves. So even if they didn't have a physiotherapist, they'd go on the appointment then.
Huh.
Team. So the success of an entrepreneur, and this is sometimes more important than the idea, is the team. Most entrepreneurs think you're building a product. No, you're building a team. So these guys there were two co-founders who were physiotherapists. There was a third co-founder who was a lawyer. And complete moron of a lawyer, because when I told him I do fire him. And I'll tell you why. So these guys made it past second round with a very prominent accelerator program in New York. Had they made it to the final, they would have got an investment of $200K and all the partnerships they need to get to the next level. When they had their final meeting, one of the investors asked them, "Are you guys full-time?" Two of them said yes, and then when they asked the lawyer, he's like, "What about you? What's your level of commitment?" Right? Because if they're putting their money in, and his answer was, "Well, let's see, I've got a really good job with my law firm, so once the company is doing revenue and I can take a compelling salary, I'll be coming on board full-time." So needless to say, they didn't get funded. Now the other reason, so one is so unfortunately you had a co-founder who is waiting for the startup to be successful so he can get a cushy salary to then join on board. So they lost. Other two is that those investors didn't like the team. They didn't like the team. So what most entrepreneurs make a mistake on is when an investor invests in, it's 70% your team, 30% your idea model. So these guys had traction, everything, but the investors didn't believe that this is a team we want to bet on. Those same investors picked another startup that was similar, that had less traction, but they believed in that team's ability to execute better. So I made this mistake as an entrepreneur, is we built when we started Gift Genie, because I had a previous exit and I'd worked with a lot of startups, I had a pretty good team in place. One mistake I made was with development. So I outsourced my development. So never, ever. Because when an investor looks at a startup, they look at your team. So you like anywhere between minimum 2 to 4 co-founders. One person who's business and one person who can code. The idea being is if you run out of money, there's someone who can keep coding. That to your point, right? What happens when you run out of money? Is there someone on the team who's technical that can help keep
the engine running. What we had was, so our first investor was an incubator program out of Toronto. So what he said is, hey, I'll come on board as an investor. We'll invest money into Gift Genie, and I've got an app shop and I'm an incubator program. You don't have to build an internal team. My team becomes your team. I'm like, oh, perfect. Sounds like a great deal. It's not really outsourced. This guy owns equity in the company, and his team becomes my team. Sounded great in theory. Was a complete and epic disaster. I fired the guy in the summer after a year and a half of disasters, because when you outsource it, even whether these guys control the code or not, there's no quality control. And the key, and now something that I should have done a year ago, I've done now, where I've built a brand new team here. Because as an entrepreneur, you're judged by the quality of the team you're putting together. If you can't convince a bunch of people to join your company, how are you going to convince your customers to use your product? How are you going to convince an investor to invest in you? So the most critical thing, if you're a technical co-founder, you got to find a business co-founder. If you're a business co-founder, find a technical co-founder. And it takes time. You got to spend those couple of months finding those team members. It's a critical piece of your startup. Once you've got the right team, then you can build something. And team building is an ever-going exercise. Like, we just brought in we've been operational for 3 years. I just brought in a third co-founder last month. And I met him randomly at a pitch event in the summer. So you're constantly, so when you're not working on your startup, you should be networking. And the reason why I say that is, being an entrepreneur is definitely not easy. It's not an easy path. If you want money, go get a job. If you want stability, get a job. You like freedom, go for it. You're trading freedom over stability, because the only money you think you'll make will come and go. But if you were to have a job over, say, a 10-year period, you probably won't make the same amount of money. It's really that if you like freedom over stability. So what happened, so I always call it, being an entrepreneur is like being in a perpetual thunderstorm. Now, but there's a silver lining to this. In real life, you get struck by lightning, it's not a good thing. But in the entrepreneurial world, getting struck by lightning can be a good thing. And in the lifetime of your venture, you'll probably get struck by lightning anywhere between 1 to 2 times, and if you're really, really lucky, 3 times. And those will be your opportunities that'll take your business to the next level. How do you get struck by lightning then?
Build a lightning rod.
Hmm?
Build a lightning rod.
You put yourself out there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? A lot of guys, we stay in our echo chamber. We're working on our startup, but you're not like, I remember I've had more traction with Gift Genie in the last 12 months than I had in the previous 2 years, because the first couple of years, we're so busy on the business, focusing, and all those little things we think are important, that I wasn't really just actively networking and meeting people. Or in the last 12 months, I brought in a third co-founder who, if we get bought out tomorrow, will be because of him. If I wasn't outside at a random pitch event, I wouldn't be on a reality show airing globally. So good things happen as an entrepreneur if you're active in the ecosystem. Don't underestimate that. Do not hide behind your walls just working in the chamber. It's the biggest mistake you can make after some of the other things I love. I cannot stress how important it is to be out there. It's almost philosophical when you visualize, hey, I need a co-founder, or I need an investor, or I need a partnership. When you visualize that, the universe somehow makes it happen if you hustle and put yourself in the right place. So you can't control the timing, you can't control luck. But if you put yourself out there, you're putting yourself in a position for that moment to happen. So as I said, talked about team, talked about co-founders. Any questions so far? Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, do you think it's like an easier path if you get more co-founders and people who can help you, or?
I wouldn't call it an easier path. What's the best way to put it? Like anything in life, right? I'm going on the limb. Are you single, relationship, dating?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm asking myself. Single, okay. Do you think if you had someone in your life personally, might help you through certain personal challenges?
Yeah.
So apply that in business, right? I mean, we all learn to do things solo, but having that's because entrepreneurship is very, very lonely. Your parents aren't gonna get it. Even your wife or partner, like I've been married 3 years, my wife's been relatively patient, but she always jokes that I spend more time with my co-founding team than I do with her. So unfortunately, only another entrepreneur will get another entrepreneur. So if you're a sole I mean, they're stacked. It's not like if you're a single co-founder, you won't be successful. The odds are just stacked higher against you. So when you go on this path, you're playing the odds. So you're kind of like increasing your odds of failure by not having that co-captain. And it goes back to building the team. Because think about it, right? If you're a sole co-founder, you can't do every role, right? You can't be the CTO, CEO, CMO, and all these other titles. You need to bring the team in. You can't afford to pay them, or maybe you're really lucky and you've got the money, you still don't. Because I know a founder who had the money, he's a sole co-founder, he hired all these roles, and now he's running out of money because he's paying all these guys expensive 4 or 5K salaries per month. But by building in a co-founding team, you've already got the experts who are not working for you because of the money, because they believe in your vision. If you can't put together a team that believes in your vision, how are you going to convince someone to use your product? How are you going to convince someone to invest in you? And from an investor point of view, investors have a checklist, revenue, team, market opportunity, market potential. They've got all these stats. So if you're a sole co-founder, you kind of get a negative tick. So all the other items need to be really high to compensate. Kind of like to pass, you need to pass in your 5 subjects. So if you fail math, you better make sure that history, geography, chemistry, physics has a really high mark to compensate for the bad mark in math. Same thing applies here. So remember, as I always say this, like even Captain Kirk had Spock, and Solo had Chewbacca, and Luke Skywalker had the Force. So everyone does need someone. Okay, let's see. Now a couple other things. If you're looking to start your idea, I highly encourage you to do this. So as I said, right, you never